History is forged in moments of crisis, shaped by the choices of people under pressure. Before Rome ruled the world, two powers stood ready to clash: Rome, a disciplined land power, and Carthage, a wealthy maritime empire. Rome's strength was its citizen soldiers and relentless expansion across Italy. Carthage thrived on trade, its navy ruling the Mediterranean, its armies filled with mercenaries. These civilizations misunderstood each other. Romans saw Carthaginians as greedy merchants. Carthaginians saw Romans as brutal, land-hungry barbarians. This mutual suspicion was a recipe for disaster. When their interests collided, neither side could predict the other's response. The result, a rivalry that would shape the ancient world. The stage was set for a long and bloody struggle. Sicily, the jewel of the Mediterranean, was the flashpoint. Carthage and Rome both saw it as vital. Carthage for trade, Rome for security. A local dispute spiraled. The Mamertines seized Messana and called for help from both powers. Carthage arrived first, but Rome couldn't tolerate a rival so close to Italy. The Senate debated fiercely, but Rome intervened, sending legions across the strait. This direct challenge sparked the First Punic War. Neither side had planned for a full-scale conflict, but pride and fear took over. Once Roman soldiers landed in Sicily, there was no turning back. The fight for Sicily became a fight for dominance in the Western Mediterranean. A century of war had begun. On land, Rome's disciplined legions relentlessly pushed Carthage back, proving their dominance in brutal hand-to-hand combat and forcing the Carthaginians to retreat from key strongholds. The Roman army's organization and courage were unmatched, and their victories on the battlefield inspired confidence throughout the Republic. But at sea, the story was very different. Carthage, with its centuries-old maritime tradition, dominated the waves. Their powerful navy, skilled sailors, and swift triremes controlled vital trade routes and threatened Roman supply lines, making it nearly impossible for Rome to win the war without challenging Carthaginian supremacy at sea. Realizing this, Rome's leaders knew they had to master naval warfare to have any hope of victory. The Senate debated fiercely, understanding that the fate of the Republic hung in the balance. With no naval tradition to draw from, Rome took a bold step. They reverse-engineered a captured Carthaginian warship, studying every plank and oar. In a remarkable feat, Roman shipyards sprang to life, and within months, a brand new fleet was ready to set sail, an astonishing achievement for a land-based power. Their greatest innovation was the corvus, a heavy boarding bridge with a deadly spike. This device allowed Roman soldiers to turn naval battles into infantry clashes, where their training and discipline gave them the edge. Suddenly, the sea became another battlefield for Rome's legions. At the Battle of Mylae, Rome's new navy shocked the world. Using the corvus, they boarded and captured Carthaginian ships, crushing their rivals in a stunning victory that announced Rome's arrival as a force at sea. Yet, the war was far from over. The corvus made Roman ships top-heavy and unstable, leading to disastrous losses in violent Mediterranean storms. Entire fleets were wrecked, and thousands of lives were lost to the unforgiving sea. Despite these setbacks, Rome's vast manpower and unbreakable determination kept them fighting. Time and again, they rebuilt their fleets, trained new crews, and returned to battle, refusing to surrender. Meanwhile, Carthage, heavily reliant on mercenaries and trade, began to falter. Their resources dwindled, and internal divisions weakened their resolve, making it harder to sustain the war effort. After more than 20 years of relentless struggle, Rome's persistence finally paid off. Their victories were celebrated across the Republic, and new coins were minted to commemorate their triumph. The First Punic War was a brutal test of endurance, costing countless lives and resources. Both sides suffered, but Rome's resilience proved decisive. In the end, Rome emerged not just as a land power, but as a formidable new naval force, ready to shape the destiny of the Mediterranean. The balance of power in the Mediterranean had shifted forever, setting the stage for Rome's rise as the region's greatest superpower. Carthage, defeated and bankrupt, surrendered after 23 years of war. Rome seized Sicily, then opportunistically grabbed Sardinia and Corsica, deepening Carthaginian humiliation. Carthage's mercenaries revolted, nearly destroying the city. The bitterness ran deep, especially for Hamilcar Barca, Carthage's leading general. Hamilcar sought a new power base in Spain, rich in silver and warriors. He took his son Hannibal, making him swear eternal enmity to Rome. The First Punic Wars' legacy was not peace, but a burning desire for revenge. Carthage rebuilt its strength in Spain, preparing for another reckoning. The seeds of a far greater conflict had been sown. The world would soon know the name Hannibal. The stage was set for a second, even more terrible war. Hannibal Barca, raised for war, became Carthage's avenger. He knew Carthage couldn't outlast Rome in a long fight, so he struck boldly. In 218 BC, Hannibal led his army, including war elephants, over the Alps into Italy, an unimaginable feat. The Romans, shocked, scrambled to respond, but underestimated him. Hannibal's tactics at Trebia and Lake Trasimene destroyed Roman armies. He used ambushes and superior cavalry to encircle and annihilate his foes. In months, tens of thousands of Romans were dead. The road to Rome lay open. Hannibal had brought the war to Rome's doorstep. A military genius was now in Italy. In the aftermath of a devastating defeat, Rome was shaken to its core. The Senate, desperate and divided, turned to an old tradition, appointing a dictator in times of crisis. Fabius Maximus, a man known for his caution and wisdom, was chosen to lead Rome through its darkest days. Fabius refused to meet Hannibal in open battle. Instead, he waged a war of attrition, shadowing the Carthaginian army, striking at their foragers, and burning crops to deny them supplies. This strategy, though effective, was deeply unpopular among Romans who hungered for swift vengeance and glory. Impatience grew in Rome. The people and Senate, frustrated by Fabius's caution, replaced him and assembled the largest army Rome had ever seen. Their goal was simple: to crush Hannibal in a single decisive battle at Cannae. But Hannibal was a master of tactics. At Cannae, he lured the Romans into a trap, encircling and annihilating them. In a single, horrific day, nearly 50,000 Roman soldiers perished, one of the bloodiest defeats in history. Any other nation might have surrendered, broken by such overwhelming loss, yet Rome, battered and grieving, refused to yield. The city's spirit remained unbroken, its resolve hardened by tragedy. The Republic mourned its dead, but instead of collapsing, it rallied. New legions were raised from every corner of Italy. Young men, barely trained, took up arms to defend their homeland. The people of Rome, united in their suffering, found new strength in adversity. For Hannibal, Cannae was both his greatest victory and his greatest frustration. He had shattered Rome's armies, but he could not shatter Rome's will. The city refused to negotiate or surrender, denying him the final triumph he sought. The determination of the Romans became legendary. Their will to endure, to fight on against impossible odds, inspired awe and fear across the ancient world. The war dragged on, year after year. Hannibal remained undefeated on Italian soil, but he could not deliver the final blow. Rome, battered but unbroken, refused to fall. Across the Mediterranean, the world watched in suspense as two titans, Rome and Carthage, clashed in a struggle that seemed to have no end. The fate of empires hung in the balance. The destiny of the Mediterranean world was uncertain, teetering on the edge of a knife. Every city, every nation waited to see who would emerge victorious. In the end, Rome's darkest hour became its defining moment. From the ashes of defeat, the Republic forged a legacy of resilience and endurance that would echo through history. Hannibal's victories couldn't break Rome's core. Rome rebuilt, and a young general, Scipio, emerged. Scipio learned from Hannibal, winning brilliant victories in Spain. He proposed a daring plan: invade Africa and force Carthage's hand. Despite opposition, Scipio landed in Africa, threatening Carthage itself. Carthage recalled Hannibal for a final showdown at Zama in 202 BC. Scipio's tactics, using gaps for elephants and superior cavalry, turned the tide. Hannibal was finally defeated. The Second Punic War ended with Carthage's surrender. Rome had triumphed, but at immense cost. The ancient world had changed forever. The rivalry was over, at least for now. After the catastrophic defeat at Zama, Carthage was stripped of its power and dignity, reduced to little more than a client state under Rome's watchful eye. The once mighty city, famed for its wealth and maritime prowess, now found itself shackled by harsh treaties, its ambitions crushed, and its future uncertain. Rome's dominance over the Mediterranean world was now unchallenged, its legions casting a long shadow across continents. Yet, beneath the surface of this triumph, a deep-seated fear lingered in Roman hearts. A fear that Carthage, though broken, might one day rise again. In the halls of the Senate, Cato the Elder's relentless cry, "Carthage must be destroyed," echoed with growing urgency. His words became a rallying call, stoking the flames of vengeance and paranoia among Rome's leaders. When Carthage, desperate and cornered, defended itself against relentless Numidian raids, Rome seized upon this as a pretext for renewed war. The Senate claimed Carthage had broken the peace, but many saw it as an excuse to finish an old enemy once and for all. The Third Punic War was not a contest of equals, it was a massacre. Roman legions, hardened by decades of conflict, descended upon Carthage with overwhelming force, determined to erase the city from existence. Inside the besieged walls, Carthage's people fought with desperate courage, defending their homes and families in a hopeless last stand. Their resistance was heroic, but the outcome was never in doubt. In 146 BC, after a brutal siege, Rome razed Carthage to the ground. The city was set ablaze, its people slaughtered or sold into slavery. Its memory nearly wiped from the earth. The destruction was total, a chilling warning to all who might challenge Rome. Rome's victory was absolute, but it revealed a new, darker ruthlessness at the heart of the Republic, a willingness to annihilate rather than merely conquer. The Republic's triumph came at a profound moral cost. The world saw not just Rome's strength, but its capacity for vengeance and destruction. History, we learn, is not destiny. It is the sum of choices, of endurance, ambition, and the will to act, for better or worse. Rome's rise was not inevitable, but relentless. It was built on determination, discipline, and sometimes, on the ashes of its enemies. Was this relentless pursuit of power justified, or was it simply the triumph of the ruthless over the vulnerable? That haunting question echoes through the ages, a reminder that the choices of the past still shape the world we inherit today.